So I was looking for a lens to capture more in my frame. The first lens that I got was a 50mm prime. That is great for portraits, great for making pictures of people, but not necessarily good when it comes to architecture and vlogging. That's why I started to look for lenses that are wider than my 50mm lens. Something like 16mm, 24mm, maybe even 15mm, if I could get one cheap. And yet the word cheap doesn't really exist when it comes to photo and videography, especially when it comes to glass. Everything is just f***ing expensive. And if you want to buy a 15mm Sony G Master for 700 euros used, yeah, go ahead and do it. I have to eat. But you know, there's one lens which is wide, cheap if you consider 300 euros used, cheap and quite versatile. And if you need one, keep watching. So this right here is the Sigma 16mm F1.4, made for APS-C size sensors like the Sony ZV-10 or the 6000 series. Which does not mean you cannot use it with full frame. I'm using it right now on my A7 III. So you can. And so how that works is basically if you put a APS-C glass on a full frame sensor, the sensor itself crops in 1.5 times to get rid of that vignetting. But to be honest, you can use that vignetting as like a stylized look, maybe a music video or something like that. It's kind of cool. For the price, I can't stress enough how well this lens is made. We're looking at a full metal body with a rubberized focus ring, which is infinite, so that's not necessarily good when it comes to video, but it is a stills lens after all, so that's alright. The focus ring is very smooth and not all too loose, so yeah, focusing with it is great. I'm not really that into specs because I just find it boring to look through long pages of numbers, but let's just get the most important ones out of the way. We're looking at a minimum focusing distance of 25 centimeters, a filter size of 67mm, which is great for me because most of my lenses are 67mm. When it comes to the filter size, the lens weighs around 400 grams, depending on which mount you get, and you can get the lens for basically every single mount, X mount, L mount, E mount, you name it. Even though the lens is described as 16mm, it is really 24mm after adding the 1.5 crop factor of the APS-C size sensor. But the 24mm focal length is still great when it comes to anything. You can take portraits with it, you can vlog with it, it's quite wide, so you can also make architecture photography with it. It's very versatile, and that's why this is basically one of my favorite lenses that I own. The lens is very sharp all around. I used it on my ZV-10 before switching to the full frame size camera, and I'm still using it. It's just so good. And once again, talking about the price, this is one of the best lenses when it comes to price to quality, and because it came out in 2017 and is 6 years old right now, you can get the lens used for as cheap as 260, 250 euros. And if you get it even cheaper, you made a steal. To summarize it all, the Sigma 60mm is a great lens if you want to start with YouTube, with vlogging or whatever, and if you want to get something cheap. I don't think there is a better lens in this price point with this focal length. So yeah, definitely a steal. I hope you don't leave without clicking the thumbs up beneath, and if you enjoyed the video, you might as well subscribe for more. And if you did that, thanks a lot and take care.